Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I decided to make a kind of summary survey of today's game, the first game of the World Championship match between Gukesh and Ding-Gukesh. But I like to do it in a special way. I saw this idea, I think once, I remember Grishuk was doing it like that. So my idea is to make it without engine, yeah, because frankly I didn't, I mean, when I'm following games, and today's one I didn't really follow fully, but I'm trying to find a place where I can manage to see it without engine actually because I don't want to see the engine. I want to think myself. I'm qualified enough at least to have certain idea, and because nowadays everywhere everybody is having engine nearby, and then it actually changes your perception of the game. And so that's why I'm actually going now to think aloud. So I'm actually, for the first time after the game, I will go through the whole game. I saw some little episode here and there. I have already certain ideas about some moves, how the game developed, but now I'm just going to go through and just to tell you what I think. I understand that you all have engines and you will probably have thousands of places where you will find very precise, accurate analysis with engine. That's why, yeah, I understand I will be looking a bit stupid, probably telling my nonsense, but I believe it's also, chess game, and especially the world championship, a world championship match is a experience in a way. Yeah, it's an emotional experience. So it's very important also to get the certain feeling of what players could have been thinking about, because it's not the same when you see the engine and you don't see it. So that's why I will give you this feedback. Okay, I was playing world championship match, maybe I'm performance wise not on the level of both players now, but well, understanding wise at least I can give certain ideas. I believe that I understand what they could have been hesitating about, and how the game in general was going. So that is my plan. So it's a very different analysis than 99% of what you will probably see tonight. So okay, let's go. E4, E6. Yeah, I just saw this moment. This is French defense. Why not, after all? Knight c3, so Gukesh played very quickly. He was expecting, is definitely very well theoretically prepared for the match. Yeah, here was the first strange moment. I remember, yeah, I saw that now Ding was thinking for, I don't know, like 20 minutes almost, yeah, almost 20 minutes playing a5. Yeah, it's one of the theoretical moves. In general, it's not a great sign. I mean, I understand that you need to get into the match, etc. But, well, it's like a bit too early to spend 20 minutes for nothing almost. Because actually when you play French defense against Knight c3, well, there is a bishop g5 move here, which is, well, very serious theoretical move. But after e5, I mean, what was played, it's another important move. Now, yeah, this knight c2 or fifth knight c2 or after f4, I mean, this is a very, very serious system, yeah. I mean, it's the most, I would say, aggressive system. It's pretty complicated, very unclear, but well, it's really the system, especially if you play French defense in the World Championship match. You really must be ready there, must spend a week analyzing this position. I believe in general Blake is doing fine here, but it's very complicated, extremely complicated position. So not a good sign, because you see, the point is that here normally time would be, I mean, could have been a very important factor. I just want to come back to the normal, well, the way the board looks. Okay, doesn't matter. This is a game. Just don't know how to do it. Strange. I mean, how can I delete this move, or just that I can come back to the game? I mean, that it's like brown. I like it a bit more. Okay, whatever. We'll try to do it next time. So this is a very complicated line. I played probably myself also, I guess so. a5 is actually not a very bad move. It's one of the theoretical moves, but in fact black doesn't have a very big choice here. It's like whether he has to play for f6 at some point, trying to challenge white's pawn structure, whether to start pushing pawns on this flank, or okay, bishop e7 first, but then knight f3 probably anyway, whether f6, whether b5, a5. And but the point is that, as I mentioned already, the game, it's very obvious that the game will be very tensed and complicated. So 20 minutes to give up, like almost, well, I mean, yeah, 26 minutes, yeah, 27 he gave just for free. It could have been a very, very significant disadvantage in future. So yeah, not really like I'm I'm very impressed by the preparation of Ding here, because, well, also this position you really need to know well, otherwise what you do, otherwise you can end up worse. Even though e5 is possible move, yeah, so knight f3, this is logical, a4, frankly I don't remember what is the theory here, how it goes. Well, actually the point is that white has a certain development issues often in this position, but he has a very big asset, the center, and actually the main problem of black is this knight on d7. It's pretty bad knight, and if white manages to develop, usually he will be better if black will not be in time to challenge the center. So it's all about pretty much black trying to challenge the center, and white is, yeah, it's like not so easy to develop. Very often, even in such positions, white is playing h4, rook h3, king f2, king g1, like this, because, yeah, otherwise once a knight goes somewhere to g3, I guess cd, the pawn on d4 becomes weak. So very complicated position, but bishop e3 is a logical move. Yeah, so let's see, that was still a preparation of Gukesh, so it's pretty clear he prepared seriously this system for French. You know, immediately I can judge that most probably he was preparing e4 as a main weapon. Why? Because well, French is not really a very, yeah, not really the opening you would expect Ding-Gukesh to play many games in this match. So if against French you are preparing such a sharp, complicated system, and French again is not really like very, very, you know, likely to happen, that means that you are preparing, I mean, like massively after e4, yeah, because otherwise you would just prepare some, yeah, there are enough of solid systems for white where he is very solid, and but here he really goes for the most aggressive continuation. So that probably means that there was a lot of time spent on first e4, because e6 is not the only move after e4, yeah, so that would be my guess, that probably e4 is the main weapon of Gukesh in this match, even though maybe after this game he will change his plans, but it seems that he made a lot of work on e4. So bishop e7. Bishop e7 was played pretty quickly. It's a standard move. g4 very quickly. So he's still in his preparation. That is impressive, because a5, a4 is not really the most fashionable line. I mean, it's a rare opening French, a rare line in a rare opening. So, and Gukesh is still in his preparation. Yeah, g4, of course it's kind of ambitious move, but also makes sense. You just want to develop, like bishop g2 castle, as I explained already. That's one of the major points in this position. If white manages to develop, he is better, usually. So queen a5. Something tells me also a lot of time spent, so is already Ding is already like 50 minutes down on clock, and it's, yeah, pretty obvious to me that he's not that well ready for this line, and he's trying, yeah, that's actually typical situation when you are trying to find moves that would like, you know, get your opponent out of preparation. Queen a5 is a bit strange move, frankly, but yeah, I think that was the main idea of, but okay, it's normal, of course, it's playable move, but not like the first thing would come up in my mind. But I think he wanted to, yeah, and 20 minutes spent Gukesh on move bishop g2, and that was probably the first kind of reassuring moment for for Ding in this game, because at least now you start to play with a human, not with a computer preparation, yeah, home preparation. Bishop g2, it's a standard move. In general, I have a feeling, yeah, Gukesh was playing very kind of standard way, not in a good sense of this word. But it's understandable, yeah, because why not? It's a decent move. I mean, maybe there are some other options. Quite often a3 can be the move here just to stop a3. Even king f2 sometimes works here, just to get, you know, just to be able after, because black wants quite often to take cd4 here, and then if I play king f2, then at least after cd4 I can always take with a pawn, just to keep my pawn center. But of course king f2 has some other issues, this move. Maybe black can start f6 somewhere, counterplay there. Well, very complicated position, but bishop g2 is okay move. a3 was played. Well, it's I'm not totally sure, I mean, about a3, because I would maybe consider taking on d4 first. Again, yeah, of course you need to think here, in the position is complicated, but the point is that after a3, yeah, white gets the pawn on b4, and then the c5 square will not be available for black. I mean, not that I like black's position, I don't think it's great, but maybe like now at least you can castle, because f5 is not getting there, castle. I don't know, yeah, white should be, well, have a very nice position, maybe knight c5 works. I mean, not that I don't like black's position, but yeah, so I can understand that he's trying to do something with a3. What are the other options? Of course, like b5, b4 is yeah, it's a way to play, but there is a3 move also. Well, it's in general, it was definitely much better to study it at home for Ding than to try to invent something over the board. Maybe I would consider knight b6 move here. Bishop g2, yeah, knight b6, very dubious. Yeah, castle, knight c4. Let's say maybe, yeah, bishop c1. Maybe even like a3, trying to get knight to b2. At least some kind of counterplay like this, some strange play, but just to, yeah, you really need to bother white very quickly, otherwise he will push f5, knight f4, and your position will collapse. But it's very risky way of playing. I mean, I'm not sure it will work. So yeah, understandable a3 move. Now it's b3, cd4, that is the idea. b4, it's very typical idea in French. Queen c7, knight d4, but in general, frankly, this position, as I understand, it's just better for white. I mean, it's like a very typical situation. Of course, white would rather prefer to have his bishop on d3, then it would be just almost winning already, but even with bishop on g2, the position looks pretty sad to me. I don't know how computer assesses it, but doesn't look good, because strategically it is pretty, yeah, it's not great strategically, because of course black must try maybe to push f6 at some point, but he cannot really at the moment. But because if he doesn't manage it, then it's difficult to get play. So yeah, knight b6 is a possible way of playing, but knight is not doing that much on c4. So all in all, yeah, I think the opening didn't go well for black. And also, yeah, half an hour less on the clock. So knight b6 was played. Castles. Let me think from the white side. Oh, I like it much more with white. Let me keep it like this for at least for a while. I mean, yeah, castle, of course, it's a very normal move. Yeah, castle is okay. Maybe there are some ideas like trying to get knight b5, queen d8, and then some bishop c5. It's strange. I mean, like, yeah, there is no need for it. I mean, yeah, so castle is okay. Yeah, I would. Yeah. I mean, also in a practical sense, you just castle here. Any person would castle. Knight c4, bishop f2. Yeah, here I had I mean, I glanced at the position here during the game, and I was not sure if bishop f2 is so necessary. I mean, I would actually consider. I was thinking maybe just to play queen e2, simply because it can save theoretically it can save white a tempi, because I'm not sure that knight e3 is actually so good here, because queen e3 f5 comes very quickly, and f5 is the main point here of white's play, and if he manages f5, very often situation becomes critical for black. So I mean, unless there is something very concrete like h5 here, but looks very dangerous, I don't trust it. Maybe h5. Still, I mean, queen e2 I would seriously consider, because let's say if bishop d7, maybe white can save a tempi somehow. Maybe he will not have to, I mean, to remove his bishop to f2 after all. I don't know, maybe rook e1 just to play. Because of course if black takes, it's like extra tempi simply. Maybe here black would, because I'm trying to push f5 sooner than later. For instance, if castle, maybe I can consider f5, probably not yet. But yeah, anyway, it's, I mean, I can always play bishop f2 here if I want. Yeah, so it's an option. Maybe black can take on e3, queen e3, and play something like rook c8 at some point, just, but f5, knight takes d4, but very risky position. Anyways, I'm not sure it would make a significant difference, but yeah, I would consider playing first queen e2, even though bishop f2 is of course very normal. Bishop d7, well, to me it's pretty obvious that white is in full control here, like full control. I rarely was having such a good position in French defense out of the opening. French is not such a bad opening at all, and but here it's like you do whatever you want, Elmas, with white here, because there is no real counterplay. Yeah, queen e2, that's very logical. So much time he spent on queen e2. That is very strange. I mean, like 35 minutes. Why? It's like a move. Yeah, it's just like obviously maybe he was calculating some f5, some concrete attempts to break through, but there is no need. Yeah, I mean, practically, in a practical sense, it's very logical just to play queen e2. You're slowly preparing f5. I don't know. Well, black, it's very risky to castle here. Yeah, I mean, it's possible, not that it's immediate mate, but after castling, I guess something like rook e1, you have to hurry up now with black, because if I manage my f5, f6, I'm going just to mate. But maybe black can still manage to take on d4. No, it's very dangerous, because f5 is really on the agenda. So I would rather maybe try to get h5, but also extremely risky. I mean, it can end up very badly also h5. Even though, yeah, I would consider, I don't know, you need to calculate variations. Of course, there are some knight b5 moves, also gh5. I suppose, what? Knight g5? No, knight g5, no. Maybe just, I mean, always possible to play h3, of course. Yeah, it's not quite clear if after h3 it's such a big deal for black, but at least h3 I wouldn't be that worried with black. Maybe just gh5 and then rook h5. Now if I manage my pawn on g6, everything will be quite decent. I mean, not bad, but I'm afraid to get some tactics. I mean, because this rook on h5 is hanging in some lines like knight g5, I don't know, maybe take on c6, knight d4, f5. Well, needs to be analyzed. I mean, very risky move, but I don't see a very direct refutation. Even though, yeah, I would really like, I really doubt I would have played this move, h5, maybe, because there is nothing really better. Yeah, and this was the second moment where knight takes d4, when I just checked the game, and frankly, I mean, to me, it's like, it was really strange to see after that he took knight takes d4. I mean, like, bishop d4 to me was like completely automatic. I wouldn't even think. It is so natural to take bishop d4. I don't know what computer is saying about it, but like, I wouldn't, it's just, I mean, not even a question. Bishop d4 would be played in 10 seconds. Like, it's because the bishop is very good here. Because what the idea of the position, that white actually needs just to stop kind of counterplay on the queen side, even though there is not so much counterplay, and sooner or later he will push his f5. sooner than later actually. So, and bishop on d4 is so powerful because it protects the only weakness white has, pawn on c3. And like it's like you know, such a powerful piece, you cannot exchange it, you cannot do anything with it. It's like you know, also it protects the center. Once you push f5, I mean the center is protected, the pawn on e5. And okay, sometimes f5, ef, e6, the bishop starts to be working on this diagonal. So to me it's like was so strange, knight takes d4. No, I mean probably it's also white is still having a good position, but like bishop d4, I could only think of only idea, because bishop b5 is nothing really. I mean, I guess I just play f5 and crash, I mean, there. So I guess he didn't, I mean, Gukesh didn't want to give h5 option. That is the only explanation I have in my mind, that why knight takes d4 could have been played. But frankly, h5, I don't know. I was just thinking a bit in my head. I don't know what I think it is almost the only move, in the sense of like everything else is just better for white, I suppose. So h5, but I would maybe go like knight g5 here. I don't know, takes, maybe takes, yeah, takes. And well, there are some tricks, knight d2, I don't see it yet, rook f2, maybe like g6, just as a option, but I'm not sure. I mean, like rook f2 even, whatever. Yeah, I don't know about this position, but to me it seems pretty lousy for black, because you cannot really castle on f7, pawn is weak here, because if you manage castle on, it would have been more or less acceptable maybe, but you cannot really. Yeah, rook f8, I can enter maybe with knight h7 at some point. And I don't know if rook f2, or maybe even just rook e1. I'm not sure. Knight d2 is knight d2, rook f2. I'm not sure if it's the idea. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just like giving some lines. I'm not sure it's good lines, but like even no, this even bishop e4, because knight e4 you can take, and bishop c6, and I mean there is bishop h4 here. Okay, so maybe, but I'm afraid after bishop e4 it can end very badly. d4, knight e4, and okay, yes, I have that, but you also have knight to d6, knight to f6 coming. All in all, it doesn't look good, black's position, and strategically, because yeah, you cannot castle on, of course you can never castle short, you'll get mated. Taking on g5 is not a great option, and there is not that much counterplay. So I don't know, I would just, and again, even after h5, even if I play h3, yes, okay, let's say takes, maybe now black can try to play long castle, because he can kind of pretend he has some, not even play on the h-line, but some potential, but still white should be, in my opinion, better here, I mean much better, because there is no real attack, and this controlling the center is so strong, and space advantage. I think white is just better. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but to my understanding, so was a very strange decision, knight takes d4, because now at least black can attack the c3 pawn, and also you are not really, yeah, you don't have this f5, because e5 pawn becomes weak. I mean, it's hanging. Of course, sometimes you can even sacrifice it, but like yeah, I don't know, maybe he wanted to stop f6, potentially that e6 is hanging. Still, very strange move, because the c3 pawn becomes a bit vulnerable. Knight b2, that's logical, so black immediately starts to attack this pawn. Frankly, yeah, because he played queen e3, this move I really don't like. I mean, it's like, it's not in the spirit of the position. To me, I would seriously consider, I don't know if taking on c3 is such a big threat. I mean, I would maybe consider even sacrificing a pawn like f5. I mean, it's, I guess queen takes c3, but white might have a very dangerous initiative here. I mean, for the pawn, very dangerous. It looks to me like rook ac1, maybe queen d3, I suppose, and maybe even queen e1, threatening rook c3, f6. Yeah, it's not so clear. At least black is pawn up. I don't know, knight c4, what, I don't know. But it's still very dangerous. So somehow protecting this pawn with the queen, and it's like, I don't know, it's very, very strange play to me. Also, I don't like the square for the queen. But I mean, it's a bit, to my understanding, it's not in the spirit of the position. You need to go all in here. I mean, not that you need, but it's very logical just to start really direct, like direct assault against the king. And who cares about, you know, some pawns here? But, well, of course, it's very general consideration, but I don't like queen e3, rook c8, because now you cannot even give up, I mean, sacrifice this pawn, because queen will be hanging. So rook ac1. Yeah, a bit sadness. I mean, rook fc1, at least maybe that the a2 pawn is not hanging. Maybe rook fc1, but of course it's really already not so clear, because I mean, I don't know what white was doing. Queen on e3 and the rook, well, rook needs to be on f1 to, I mean, to support f5 and potential attack on the king side. Of course, here I understand it's not what white wanted, I suppose. So rook ac1, at least humanly understandable move. You just want to keep your potential attack there. Let's see what happened. Queen c4. Yeah, Ding is playing very, like, yeah, he's not afraid of anything. But here, yeah, it's somehow, yeah, actually, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, like, now you have to do something very quick, because a2 is hanging, but also simply queen d3 or knight d3. Yeah, black wants to create counterplay. So I guess queen c4 was obviously the move after rook ac1. So what was the idea of Gukesh? f5. Yeah, he goes all in. Of course, because a2 pawn is not that important, even though still it's kind of far from mate here. Yeah, it's not, mate is not so close. So f5, I guess knight d3 or something. Queen d3. Okay, queen d, if it works, it works. I guess, yeah, queen d3, queen e1. This is quite strange, this move, queen e1. This is realistic, but how? Like bishop g5, everything comes. I don't know, this looks really strange, queen e1. Of course, it's difficult for me to I mean, you need time to analyze this position. I didn't really, but I would rather, yeah, queen e1, I really don't like. Let's see. He spent, well, he played it quite quickly. Not the move I would play quickly, frankly, queen e1. Because first of all, there is no real threats. Yeah, he doesn't want to exchange queens, but then knight d3. But okay, it's also not the end of the day. But I would. What if queen f4, a move? I mean, of course, just like trying to be aggressive. I don't know. Maybe g5. Maybe a very strange move, g5. Because rook c3, I don't know. But white has tricks. But maybe the idea is g5. Very strange, of course, idea, but I want to change queens. I mean, it's quite important to change queens, and because the queen has nowhere to go unless, I mean, if to avoid changing queens, and if fg, maybe queen g6, and you get bishop g5, knight d3, some play. Yeah, maybe that is the idea. Maybe not. Again, the position is really complicated. But anyways, queen e1 doesn't look good to me. I don't know. Just intuitively, it doesn't look good. Okay, who knows? You know better now. I guess you already know, studied with engine, but I don't like this move at all. Okay, bishop g5. Well, natural, yeah. What is the idea after bishop g5? Rook c2. No, something is starting really to go wrong here for white. I mean, what is white doing? Queen e1, rook c2. You almost don't have moves with white to start with. I don't know if, yeah, something went totally wrong for white here, because he just, I mean, his pieces lost all coordination. Black entered with a bishop, with a queen, rook on c8 is active. Everything, you know, I mean, yeah, it was very, very, very bad few moves in a row, I think, from somewhere, starting with knight takes d4, or maybe next a move later, but I believe bishop takes d4 was better, and then, yeah, just in few moves, situation turned to me completely. I think black is doing extremely well. I don't know how well, but very well. Rook c4. Okay, he just wants to take on d4, yeah? He's threatening rook takes d4 and queen takes c2. Yeah, h4 maybe, or what? h4, yeah, was played. started to, yes, to lose a lot of time. I mean, now already Dink is much have much more time on the clock. Bishop f4. Yeah, it's like black entered with all pieces. No, I mean, Dink played well this part of the game, but frankly, it was not that difficult because black didn't have a very big choice. He just had to create some play and just enter with pieces, and well, and suddenly it's like, it seems to me it's like almost collapsing white's position, because what, rook e2, if rook e2, I guess you can just take on c3. I don't know with what, maybe queen even, just to change queen. So yeah, because like, yeah, there is no big attack. Also bishop is quite active on f4. No, what was played here, queen b1. Oh yeah, no, it's completely went wrong, because it's not like, you know, you're pushing g4 trying to get f5, you play for attack, and now rook to c2, queen on b1, bishop on f2, everything is going. I mean, then why do you have these pawns on g4 h4? So it's like, it doesn't make I mean, it's not like in the not coherent simply, but maybe white has nothing anymore to do. Yeah, I mean, but of course if queen b1 is already a complete failure, yeah, if you have to play queen b1. At least you, I guess white threatens rook takes b2 here, yeah. But yes, this is not the trick you miss in the World Championship match usually. Rook takes c3, yeah, logical. I would maybe consider knight a4. I guess our calculating variation looks also tempting to take on c3 and like to take everything, like rook d1, knight takes c3 maybe. Rook d3, knight b1. Let's say what takes, or takes. Well, needs to be calculated. Well, maybe it's not that clear. Okay, if rook c3 works. Yeah, I mean, so why to bother with anything else? Rook c3, takes. Yeah, white's position seems to be pretty bad now. fe. So white must do something quick. If black castles, it's time to resign for white. Yeah, so he needs to find a resource. Knight e2, yeah, that's probably the only idea. Queen takes e5. Yeah, Dink is very good calculator, yeah, because I would be a bit like worried some bishop d4, I mean just in general, but he doesn't care, yeah, I mean, because black's king is on the center, now visually it looks like white might get some play. I mean, if he's, yeah, of course it's a matter of tempest, he's still 2 pawns down and he needs something urgent, but well, I guess here is a moment where white should search for something, because if not, if black castles, I mean, you just resign, yeah. Well, then, yeah, maybe there is not that much. I mean, I guess bishop c5 I would play, I mean, just to stop from castle, I don't know what else, yeah. Because bishop c5, well, it's a third pawn, of course, queen g4, but it's already too late to think about the pawns. Queen takes g4, and now I need to enter my queen, I guess, to a game somewhere, queen c2, or maybe, yeah, or something. Maybe. And then trying to get queen c3, or at least, yeah, I mean, that I would definitely do, because, well, not because it's good, maybe it's bad, maybe it doesn't work, but there is nothing else. Maybe still like knight c4, I'm just wondering, trying to get b6, but no, queen f2, yeah, there's some tricks, queen f2, no, I mean, yeah, it's like, it looks like it's, must be done, I mean, just, it doesn't even, yeah, again, as I mentioned, it doesn't even matter if it's bad or if it's losing or not losing, because everything else is losing, yeah. So this queen c2 I see was played, this is really strange. I mean, it's like, because he spent, Gukesh spent 6 minutes or 7 even minutes, because there is increment, yeah. No, there is no increment, yeah. So queen c2, queen c4, I don't know, now just castle. What is happening? I mean, what is he doing? It is like absurd. I mean, like, okay, if black castles is just 2 pawns up and also your king is weak, it's just totally gone. It's just bad, yeah, very bad for white. So you want it or not, I believe you must do anything to, at least as a last chance maybe, but to stop black from castling. I mean, like anything. because this, maybe he missed queen c4, even though it's difficult to miss this move. I don't know, it was just today, it was totally out, yeah, something happened. It was really not in his shoes today. Bishop d4, but okay, here it's obvious that maybe white has some drawing chances if he is lucky, if he doesn't lose immediately by force, but of course there must be a way for black to bring it home, because simply, well, knight d3, yeah, I guess knight d3 is very logical. I don't know, bishop takes g7 doesn't work, yeah, that if the idea of king g7 queen g5 check, but I guess you just take and take on g4, yeah, nothing works. So yeah, it's what, queen e3, what else, and e5 or some, take e5 or e5, I guess, yeah. It took, maybe immediately e5, yeah, but takes, yeah, takes e5 is, looks like it's gone, yeah. Yeah, it's just over. Also, all these whites pushing pawns, at least if pawn would be on h3, then the king would be protected. But now it's also becomes, it fires back your activity on the king side, because your king becomes weak as well. Yeah, I don't see what to do. Bishop d3, queen d4 is obviously lost. Yeah, I mean, you can, yeah, it's lost. I mean, this bishop endgame, no chance. So bishop e5, queen g4, yeah, this is completely lost. Bishop gets to e4, king h2, now I guess anything wins, yeah, h6, queen d1, check, takes. Quite brave. I would, you know, frankly, in such a winning position, I would think of like solid move, maybe like queen c6, just to avoid any necessary, just in case it's old you know, school stuff. I would very likely, in fact, play queen c6 here, just to avoid, just in case, any complications, because I'm 2 pawns up, and you know, some checks to avoid, because the bishop, I guess, has to retreat. You have check on g6. I think it's completely winning, but yeah, Ding just takes on a2. Of course it's winning, but like, yeah, I like it. I mean, just once, in the quickest way to win. Check, king h8, and white resign. Yeah, I mean, queen g2 is threatening. Well, what can I say about this game today? I don't know, maybe, of course, the position was complicated. I might be mistaken in my assessment. Yeah, the idea is, by the way, that if queen takes e4, because if d, bishop a2, but queen f2 check is possible, and then you just take the queen. Yeah. But to me, it looks like white got a very nice position out of the opening. I mean, yeah, it was not a great preparation from Ding, not a great choice. I mean, it's not the position you start to think on move 7. You need really to be ready there. And Gukesh preparation is good. He got fantastic position, but then started to do like one mistake after another. It seems to me that he is not like, is not his type of position. I mean, he doesn't like feel it at all, because yeah, it's like was conceptually wrong. I believe knight d4, I mean bishop d4 is so natural. I'm pretty sure experienced player who has experience playing these positions would take on d4 without hesitation. I'm pretty sure it's the best move. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. But knight takes d4, and here it's also it's not really like what he started to do. Rook c1, queen e3, rook c1, and queen e1. All this is just he lost the track, yeah, completely in this game. So it's very clear that even though he studied with the engine the position, I guess they made a lot of opening work, but he didn't really feel what the position. So it was surprisingly bad game frankly from Gukesh. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, could have been just he was, yeah, it's a lot of pressure, World Championship match, especially when you play for the first time. Yeah, I'm nervous, maybe, yeah, anything can, it doesn't, you cannot draw too many conclusions still, but well, the game was objectively very weak from Gukesh, but of course he can play better, and I'm sure he will play better, but for now he really needs to think, yeah, because with Ding, yeah, preparation so on was not great, opening choice, that strange thinking in the opening, but then he played really well. He played a good game. I mean, yeah, this game was like good old Ding. and yeah, and his opponent was really far from what he was showing in candidates or in the Olympiad, very far from it. But again, it's just the beginning of the match, so I was trying to think aloud for you watching this game. I hope you liked it. Sorry if I made some mistakes or miscalculations or misassessment. Okay, but I think this format, just give me maybe a feedback if this format is interesting for you, and I will maybe try to continue it other days in the same format, being a full without engine, but maybe that's what you like to see. Thank you.